Dear students, back to our history class. Today we can complete our second history lesson, that is nationalism in India. We have discussed a lot of important points in the last class about the most important programs that was launched and made a success by Gandhiji. And we have completed some portions of our second civil disobedience movement and its problems that Gandhiji faced while he relaunched the second time. That is what we have to discuss today. That means lots of people had their maximum support in the first civil disobedience movement when it was started in 1930 with the Salt March. But when he relaunched it in second time in 1932, people had not much belief in Gandhiji and his philosophies. So that is what we have to discuss today. In the context of civil disobedience movement also, people from different walk of life participated with some different intentions, just like in case of our non-cooperation movement. Here let us discuss about the different group of people who participated in the civil disobedience movement in order to get solution for some of their personal or for their community problems. Let us start with the rich peasants of Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. Rich peasants in the Gujarat locality were called as Patidars, and in Uttar Pradesh they were called Jats. All of them were so tired during those time or faced a lot of losses due to the trade depression and economic depression. They were unable to get their maximum profit during those time. And as they were not getting their money, they were unable to pay the government revenues or government taxes also. So when this civil disobedience movement started, they believed that to be a part of this civil disobedience movement will be a chance to get reduced their taxes by the Britishers, because as it is a movement against the British government and as it is to disobey the rules of the government, the rich peasants believed that whenever they are being a part of this civil disobedience movement, while it is getting success, they believed that the taxes also will be get reduced. So because of such a reason, they participated. But during the course of that the civil disobedience movement, as it was called off by Gandhiji unexpectedly, these rich peasants were really tired and also were not much interested to give their support for Gandhiji or for civil disobedience movement when it relaunched in the next time. But for the poor people across India, there is no any particular area, they believed that they don't want to, or they were not just to get reduced the taxes. They had many more problems. The major problem of the poor peasants were not only the taxes that they need to pay to the government, but as they were cultivating in the land rented from the rich landlords, they need to pay an amount of money or a share of their profit for the landlords also. But when this Great Depression happened, total depression was there in case of their economical condition also. So, rent of the Britishers and the dues to the landlords together need to be get reduced. But as the Congress, that is our national movement, and also Indian National Congress under Gandhiji and other leaders were not at all supported not to pay rent. These poor peasants believed that it is a waste of time to support this civil disobedience movement, as their demands are not at all going to get satisfied. So when the second civil disobedience movement was relaunched in 1932, they kept a distance from the non-cooperation civil disobedience movement and also from the philosophies of Gandhiji. While talking about the industrialist group of India, it was a great chance for them to make their maximum huge profit during the time of First World War. Lots of indigenous industries or factories were set up and were run and organized by Indian richest personalities. And they also believed that it is a chance for them to participate in the civil disobedience movement under Gandhiji. Because in 1920, in order to organize themselves and to be strengthened, they formed an organization called Indian Industrial Commercial Congress. And in 1927, another organization called FICCI. FICCI stands for Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Trade. So, in 1920 and in 1927, two important organizations by the richest industrialists in India also formed, and they gave their maximum financial support for the launching and also for the activities of civil disobedience movement. But when the round table conferences were not a successful one, when all the demands of Indian National Congress and when Gandhiji also was disappointed after this Congress, round table conferences, the industrialists believed that there is nothing going to change in future as there is no any proper decisions are possible to be taken by Indian National Congress forcing the Britishers. So they also were not ready or not willing to support Indian National Congress whenever they started their second civil disobedience movement and were not willing to spend a single coin for the purpose of these activities against Britishers. One of the most important feature of civil disobedience movement was the large scale participation of women and children. When they got an idea about the mass movement that is under Gandhiji started from Sabarmati in the name of Salt March, as much as possible participants from their localities were attended the Salt March and were being a part of that Salt March or Dandi March. And also were believed that to support national freedom movement is a part of their life and it is a part of their devoted life towards their nation. But anyhow, Indian National Congress under Gandhiji were not much supported the presence of women in public areas. And Gandhiji believed that the most important duty of women is to be a housewife and to be a good homemaker. Need to care their family, need to make sure about the protection and safety of their family activities. So when Indian National Congress under Gandhiji were not much while they were not showing much interest in the presence of women in all these type of public activities, women also were a little bit disappointed and they also kept a little bit distance from the national movement activities under Gandhiji. Now let us discuss about the limitations or the problems that civil disobedience movement faced when they relaunched or launched in 1930 itself in order to get the support of all sections of society. One of the group of people who didn't give their much support for the civil disobedience movement was the lower section of India. They were popularly known as Dalits or untouchable classes. But in order to give a feeling of dignity and also a kind of unity among them, Gandhiji called them as son of God or Hari Jans. And all what he have done to keep a good relation with these so-called lower caste people were that he himself just started to live just like a simplest form of life like just the lower caste people. And he also was a person who gave maximum support for the lower caste people to be get uplifted. But anyhow, the lower caste people had their own some different ideas about unity or status of people in the society. They believed that it is possible to get a kind of status in society only when they are getting reservations in education institutions or when they are getting a separate constituency at the time of election. But both these were not supported by Gandhiji. Anyhow, in 1930, under their own leader, that is B.R. Ambedkar, as he was a man from the lower section, especially in Maharashtra locality, he was able to organize all the lower caste people into an association called Depressed Class Association in 1930. And he was able to oppose some of the ideas of or philosophies of Gandhian equality or Gandhian unity in the second round table conference when Gandhiji attended the second round conference in 1931. And he demanded, instead of having a common unity, Ambedkar demanded in the second round table conference to the Britishers about the demand for a separate constituency for the lower section of Indians. And Britishers announced such a separate constituencies granted for the lower section of India. But Gandhiji believed that it is a trick played by the Britishers in order to disunite or in order to give a lot of distance between these two group of people, that is lower caste in one side and upper caste in another side, or to keep the lower caste from the mainstream of Indian society. So, in order to cancel the declaration or the award given by the Britishers in the form of a separate constituency for the lower caste people, he started fast unto death. That really put Ambedkar in trouble. So at last in 1932, after long continuous discussions and debate with Gandhiji, Ambedkar understood the problems that India or the lower caste people going to face in India when they are getting a separate electorate. And through the continuous discussions and debate, Gandhiji and Ambedkar came into a pact or a treaty that is called Pune Pact of 1932. By this Pune Pact of 1932 between Gandhiji and Ambedkar, Gandhiji supported a reservation can be given for the lower section or for the depressed class in the provincial election. But it should not be a separate electorate, a common constituency where reserved seats will be allotted for the lower section or the nominated people from the lower section, and they must be voted by the General Assembly together, that is general population. So, such a reserved seat was allowed by Gandhiji. So, with that allotment or with that permission, the Pune Pact came into effect in 1932 and the separate constituency was cancelled and reserved seats for the lower section was granted. Another group of Indian community who also were not much satisfied with the new program started by Gandhiji in the name of civil disobedience movement was the Muslim community in India under Muslim League. Because when the Khilafat movement was not much successful in India under the leadership of Indian National Congress or Gandhiji, Muslim leaders believed that it is not much useful to support the Indian National Congress to continue any other programs. Because some of the demands or the aspirations of Muslims are not at all going to satisfy under Hindu-dominated Indian National Congress. So, all the unity that Gandhiji was started to create in India in the name of Hindu-Muslim unity was started to spoil after the failure of Khilafat movement. Moreover, instead of working together, the Indian National Congress was in support of formation of Hindu-dominated nationalist groups in the name of Hindu Mahajana Sabha. So, when there was a clear division between Hindus and Muslims started, it also resulted in the great gap between these two communities. But anyhow, the demand for many of the Muslim League leaders, including Muhammad Ali Jinnah, in order to get a proper reserved seats in the coming general elections, with the proper proportion of population especially in the Muslim dominated areas of Bengal and Punjab, in order to avoid the demand for a separate electorate, that demand also was nullified or rejected in the All Party Conference in 1928 by the leader of Hindu Mahajana Sabha called M.R. Jayakar. So, without having a separate electorate, Muslim leaders also believed that it is not possible to get any kind of representation in India. They believed that if they are getting a reserved seat in the Muslim dominated area, that problem might have been solved. But Hindu dominated Indian National Congress was not willing to support that idea of having a reserved constituency or reserved seat for Muslims. Instead, they rejected all the demands of Muslim League under Muhammad Ali Jinnah. So, these two groups, that is depressed class in one section and the Muslim community in another section, were not at all satisfied to give or to extend their support to the activities of Indian National Congress and its different activities in India to get or to attain national freedom. Because their demands are always rejecting and the dominance of Indian National Congress under Hindu community is expressive. So, the civil disobedience movement also had such problems to face in the form of national integrity, or they were unable to create national unity. So other than conducting satyagrahas or other different types of movements against Britishers, national freedom fighters also believed that in order to get the unity or in order to get a kind of unity and a national feeling among the different sections of Indians, they had different other methods to follow. Let us discuss about some of the methods that our national freedom fighters started to practice in order to create a kind of sense of unity or a collective unity in India. One of the method was that collecting folklores, ancient folklores. Folklores may be written in different colloquial languages or vernacular languages, but all that folklores may be a kind of heroic stories or songs in order to devour a kind of chances or an add-on to some of the important great personalities of particular localities, and to describe or to praise whatever activities that the national such heroic figures in that locality have done. So while collecting and singing such folklores in front of people publicly, national freedom fighters believed that it also can create a kind of collective unity, because folklores are so common everywhere. Even though it will be in different languages, almost similar content will be there in almost every kind of folklores. Folklores, folk dance, then stories or tales of ancient period, etc. started to collect by freedom fighters and to make it public in front of people. So one of the methods followed by our national freedom fighters to create a kind of collective belongingness in India, it was the use of folklores or folk songs, etc. Greatest such collections of folklores were made by Ravindranath Tagore from the Bengal locality and Nadesha Shastri in Madras province. Both these collections created a sense of unity among different sections of people, even though they are using different languages. And one another important icon that also used by our national freedom fighters to create a kind of unity among all sections of India was a kind of allegory. We know what is an allegory. We have studied it from the previous lessons. That means Germania, Mariana, etc. were the allegories for France and Germany. Here for India, our national freedom fighters also started to think about a common image, a figure, a female figure can be created in order to create or in order to make a unity among all the sections of people. So, such an image of Bharat Mata was created firstly by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. He was the first person who painted such a most beautiful figure of Bharat Mata. And in later time, he started to write a song for the nation that is called Vande Mataram, in order to praise our motherland once again and to create a sense of unity among all the people. And that Vande Mataram later added in one of his novel called Anandamadam. But later, the image, that is the Bharat Mata created by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, was modified by another great national freedom fighter in Bengal area, that is Abanindranath Tagore. But there were some different changes, or figure had some different aspects when Abanindranath Tagore had his own imagination. It is somewhat just like an ascetic figure, where a calm and quiet nature she has, and also a kind of educational or intellectual figure that also it had. So time by time, many changes that happened to the figure of Bharat Mata. Anyhow, the figure Bharat Mata creates a kind of national feeling for all Indians wherever they live, even present. So folklore in one side, then Vande Mataram in another side, then allegory called Bharat Mata in another side. Many such different icons are there. One another great figure also here we had, that is our national flag. Our tricolor flag also had its own influence to create a kind of unity and integration across different kind of people in India, even though they are following different cultural or religious or language diversities. But national freedom or the national flag, tricolor flag of India also had its own importance. That tricolor flag of India was assigned and recognized by Indian National Congress under Gandhiji in 1921. As we have also such national symbols and icons in order to create a feeling of unity among Indians, we can consider one more such an important icon or a great effort of our national freedom fighters, especially the historians of India, in the form of writing the stories of our great past leaders in its most beautiful style. So, by reading such novels or stories of great important leaders of India in olden time itself from different corners of our country, people started to believe that we had a glorious past under our own freedom, or our own national leaders or kings or queens. And all that glories were lost when these outsiders in the form of our Britishers came. So, the most important idea behind such a recreation of past history, especially in the form of our past heroes and heroines, were to create an angry towards Britishers and to love our nation. That is, anti-colonialism leads to nationalism. So, lots of efforts were taken by our national leaders in order to create our nation a kind of integration among all group of people with lots of, even though lots of differences are prevailing in India, every time during those time and presently also, we all have an idea about our own unity. That is, whatever language we have, whatever cultural practices we have, whichever religion we follow, is doesn't matter. We all people are believing, or proudly we say that we all are belongs to one country, that is India. So, along with the militant activities or non-violent activities or presence of people in one side, these kind of a silent side also was there by the another great national freedom fighters were also going on hand in hand to create a unity among all sections of India. So, the combined effort or the hard work turn or taken by great leaders of India in years and in time by time led all our efforts to a successful one in 1947 when we got freedom and when we started to breathe the air of freedom and equality when Britishers left and when we started to live in our own country under our own elected leaders. So, nationalism cannot be created with one or two simple incidents or with one or 2 days or 1 or 2 years. Years of continuous strikes, struggles or other different extra activities by different poets or story writers or painters etc. needed sometimes to get the unity or support of all communities of a country. Thus, we got freedom and we are enjoying the same now. So, we discussed a lot of matters in this chapter and where we discussed and also described about number of different incidents or events or the participation of common people in one side and elite class in another side. Anyhow, we have discussed the important matters of our national freedom movement. So, let us conclude our chapter now. Need to be proud of being an Indian. So, let us conclude now. Thank you. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.